So
Hi,
I am
Victoria.
Victoria with Rehabilitation Station. And today we are bringing to you Jerry Kuykendall, who is a high impact coach, fitness and health coach. Is that right?
Yeah, holistic lifestyle and fitness. Yep.
Awesome. So, for those of you who are viewing and watching, you may wonder why I would bring a health and fitness coach into the addiction space. And I have my own reasons because for me personally, I know that health and wellness became a very intricate piece of my own recovery. And had I not recognized that, I might still be in the suffering mode. But so, Jerry, I wonder from you, how did health and wellness how did your addiction take you into health and wellness? How did that happen for you? How is this all unfolded for you?
Yeah. So basically, a brief overview of what led me to the addiction was just childhood issues that we all go through. For me, it was double abandonment from my parents. Um, but but yeah, so I got into fitness due to self-image issues in my teens, and consequently, I saw a ebb and flow of results. So I would lose weight, and then I would gain weight. So lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, and so it wasn't until basically I made the decision to stop letting alcohol dictate my life, control my day. I literally planned my day around alcohol, and it wasn't until then until I realized what was lacking, and for me it was motivation. And that's what led me into seeing health and wellness from a holistic perspective and managing it that way, because we all live holistic lifestyles. Everything we do affects everything we do. And when I was choosing to drink, 8 or 9 beers and 4 or 5 shots of whiskey a night, that was a holistic lifestyle, because in the morning I really felt those effects. So what I felt in the morning and my mood through the entire day and the choices I made that day and the energy I had that day was a direct result of the decision I made the night before, which was a decision that was made years in advance. And so what I came to discover and what I came to apply effectively was that, look, you can have that really crappy feeling like you're hungover without drinking alcohol or without taking a drug or without being on a hangover, and that's a direct result of your choices that you make surrounding how much sleep you get, how much water you drink, how much exercise you're getting, the way you choose to manage your thoughts and emotions and your perspective on the world. And so consequently, once I started cleaning that up, it became very clear that my issue wasn't that I was addicted to alcohol. My issue was my perspective with the world and the way my body felt 24/7. And I just wanted that 2 hours a day, that I would spend consuming alcohol. That was what I looked forward to, because that was the only time where it felt either numbed or normal to not feel normal. So for me, that's kind of a brief overview of my experience with wellness, and the passion and the results were so impactful that I literally I have to share this. I have to find people that are like the former version of myself and are on the path just like I am, and to let them know that you're not alone. You're not alone. There's people out there that have been through it. There's people out there that have answers and support for you. And none of us have reached the end of the road. There is no end of the road. We're all on a journey together. And the more of us that can get together and join hands, so to speak, and support one another, the better off I think this world will be.
Absolutely. Well said. Okay, so I personally recognize in my own addiction and recovery, and I'm still working on it today, would be the lack of body awareness.
Mm,
Just
yeah.
lacking body awareness. And I think in the addiction space, that's a lot of what happens. People are wanting to check out full on. I don't want to deal with the pain. I just want to check out. The world is such a wild space to be right now. And people are just wanting to check out. And so there's this active, I think, even in the world of entertainment, where people are encouraged to check out and
Yeah.
to not become mindful of what's going on from
Yeah.
within. And so I guess I'm just wondering how health or the coaching that you do, how it relates to body awareness. Like, what do you do specifically?
Yeah, 100%. That's a very good point you brought up. Yeah, and to touch up on that, uh, yeah. So what I've observed and what I've experienced was there's we all have multiple dimensions, but three of them in particular. You have the external, internal, and the philosophical. And whenever you're dealing with someone that's wanting to make a change, you've got to find out which one of those areas are they most detached from. And generally, from what I've seen, it's a complete attachment to the external, a complete detachment to the internal. And then there's all these philosophical issues because of the ego's ability to protect one's current condition. And so for me, I found the best way to get people in touch with their bodies and self-aware is through just stretching or maybe yoga. And it depends on the client. If you got a client that's really seeking something like that, I'll go right to, let's do some yoga. I have zone exercises that we do that work with the body's endocrine systems and visceral systems, or maybe in the Eastern philosophy, it's known as the chakra system. And these exercises are specifically designed to use breath and movement to stimulate certain areas of the body that might be stuck or blocked. But you're exactly right. People have a tendency, we all do it. It's just a matter of whatever your level of tolerance is, how enlightened and awakened you are before you finally hit that space where you don't want to internalize or go internal and meet it face to face. And so just by stretching and breathing, you find the spots where you're stuck. And, for instance, if someone has tight hip flexors from sitting too much, getting them in a 90 to 90 hip stretch, and then just asking them where they're tight, where they feel it. And then they begin to recognize areas of their body that didn't even really realize they were stuck. And just by putting your mind in that area of your body, breathing into it, you generally find an emotional correlation to wherever they're having physical inhibition, they're stuck. Those zones match up to different areas of development. And, for instance, like from the hip down, that's your safety, security, your grounding. And people that are lacking in grounding tend to be flighty. You're going to find a lot of stuck areas, from the hips down. Me personally, that's my issue. But if you look at, my story, it makes perfect sense with the double abandonment with the parents. There's just always this cognitive fear of not being safe and secure.
Okay. So this is fascinating because I, particularly in the world of opioid addiction, I know that all addictions vary in intensities and things like this. Opioid addiction actually for me is it's my niche. It's where I'm able to really give, because that's where I was at one point in my life.
Sure.
And I know that all the people that I work with, the one thing that they speak to is I have no motivation. It's weird because they want to lay on the couch. I remember I too was at that place where I just wanted to lay on the couch. I think I parented from the couch because my body was so out of tact. So I love that you mentioned the light stretching, because that's a starting point, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Being able to just move into those spaces a little bit every day.
Just a little. Yeah.
Not all day long. We're not asking people to just push, because I think I've spoken to some people in our space or in rehabilitation station around being able to just take moments where there's even the slightest bit of energy and move the body. But I'm not a health and fitness coach. I'm certainly an addiction coach, but that's one area where I haven't known how to really help them move beyond, which is a part of why you're here. Moving beyond that, I'm serious, I can't move, Victoria, or I'm so stuck, I just don't know how to move out of this. My body still hurts. Yeah,
that's very, very common, very common. So if we think about what trauma does to us, most people that fall into an addiction pattern, we just have unresolved issues, micro traumas, macro traumas, but it literally gets, like I said, it gets stored in the body. There's a great book called The Body Keeps Score. You might be interested in that.
In fact,
And
I'm wondering where it's at because it's around
you
here.
have it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
great book. And so that really touches up on this aspect, and not having the motivation to move and then looking for the motivation to move. It's very much a chicken and the egg scenario. You got to walk, handle this very gingerly, because people that are low on energy, like there's all kinds of physiological things going on. There's probably, serotonin imbalances, dopamine. A lot of people are just addicted to dopamine, as you know, and so there's dopamine fasts that you can do so that they're not overstimulated. But a good starting point when you talk about movement is an energy generator, and it also takes energy. And depending on what kind of movement that you do determines what effect you're going to get. So if you go do, a highly intensive CrossFit workout, or even just a bodybuilding or aerobic workout where you're really trying to almost be abusive to your body, and there's a time and place for that depending on where you're at, in your journey. But even the other stuff, the lighter stuff that I alluded to earlier, that's what I call working in, and I got that from the institute I study at, the Czech Institute. Paul Czech coined that phrase. But so you take it in essence, just a brief example would be, our autonomic nervous system, determines our energy, a lot of our motivation, our desire to go and attack things. And so you've got like your sympathetic nervous system, and you've got your parasympathetic nervous system, and your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight go, right? Yeah. And your parasympathetic is rest, assess, and assimilate. And so you've got the catabolic phase and the anabolic phase, the destructive and the healing. And where we want to be is here, homeostasis and balance. And what happens is we end up through life, trauma, our behaviors, our habits, maybe we overexercise, whatever, we get pinned in this parasympathetic state, and we generally don't get enough sleep and recovery to get it back. Well, what a work-in does, like a light stretch or Tai Chi or a Qigong, very gentle yoga, not this combat, vinyasa yoga that's out there. That's got a time and a place, but not if you're looking to wind down. But what that does is that takes you from here, and that activates your parasympathetic nervous system and gets you more over to here. Wow. And so the movement can actually help release blocked energies. If I've got all of my energy stuck in my liver and kidneys and stomach area because of chronic anxiety, stress, worry, and I need that energy to flow continuously through my body to feel alive, to feel vitalized, to feel energized, to get on with my day, and it's just stuck right there. It's very, very difficult. It can be done, but it's a mountain you don't have to climb. There are ways around it. Definitely ways around it. So.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that.
I love it. I could talk all day about this. I got to watch the clock when I'm talking.
Yeah, exactly. This is really, really, really good. Are you able to share a little bit about like your journey in alcoholism? Like, how long were you in alcoholism?
Sure,
like, how long were you there? And then how did you move beyond? Because I think that's an important piece to be able to share with the people so that they're able to identify.
Yeah, exactly. So my first traumatic effect from alcohol really started when I was about 7 years old. My mother left. My dad chose to become detached from the situation. So he was going to the bar every night. So that was my first introduction to the abusive relationship with alcohol. And so, I was wanting the attention of an alcoholic, which I knew was not right. And so I formed this very negative view of alcohol. When I began consuming it myself, I wasn't that partier in high school. I mean, I partied, but I wasn't a drinker in high school. I might have a beer on the weekend or something, but I was just deathly opposed to alcohol. And then I started climbing the career ladder, and, I found myself in a position at the age of 28 where I was managing a grocery store. I was making six figures. I was able to put $1,000 a month into my retirement. I have a beautiful wife, two wonderful kids, and my life was essentially perfect, right? But I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. I felt like I was prostituting my talents. I felt like I was prostituting my time. So I chose to bury those feelings and that unwillingness to look inside of me and say, what it is about you that makes you view the world this way. And so I started drowning that in alcohol. And that was, probably 13, 14 years ago. And I've been sober for it'll be 4 years in March. So just about a decade, I would say that I was a day drinker, or not a day drinker, a daily drinker. And, in fact, if I went a day or two a year without consuming alcohol, it was like a big deal. I woke up thinking, well, I feel like $1,000,000. I didn't have anything to drink last night. I actually got 6 hours of good sleep. And so anyway, and for probably 4 or 5 out of those 10 years, I realized that I had a problem, that it had a control over me, and I was lying to myself, thinking I was managing it. And it's kind of funny how fitness led me to the final straw. And I'm very big on getting in touch with your identities and understanding they're malleable, and there's umpteen different identities that we all attach to. It's just what's the one that you go to on your default. And for me, I feel very fortunate that I always saw myself as someone who knew that they could achieve, whatever they wanted to physically. I always knew that. Just because I wasn't doing it, I knew it was possible. And I don't know if that's something I was born with or something I adopted, but I was preparing for a powerlifting competition, and it was probably, about 3 months of prep for it. And, I just made one promise to myself. This is how alcohol runs your life, right? Is that you can drink, but the day before you do heavy leg day, you are not going to drink. And I followed that pretty good until I had a vacation, and we went to Seattle to see my wife's family. And we came back like on a Sunday, and my very last day of vacation was Monday, back to work Tuesday. Come back Sunday, weather's nice. We got steaks in the fridge, gonna fire up the grill. Well, you can't grill without drinking beer, can you? And that was kind of, again,
the mindset,
association, right? Association, correlation, cue response, or cue craving, response, reward, right? And so I said, okay, fine, you can have a beer and a shot. Just your ritual, right? We don't take away rituals. And by the end of the night, I was absolutely hammered. There was 4 or 5 tall Miller Lite cans lined up on the counter, and I know my habit, and I know if there's 4 or 5 of those, there was 4 or 5 shots of whiskey that went down too. Jiggers, shot and a half. So consequently, I didn't sleep very well that night. Got up at 4:30 in the morning. Just you know what alcohol does to a lot of people, and first thought in my head was, oh, I'm skipping today's workout. And then I was like, no, you made a promise.
Yeah.
So I went into that gym, and I remember like it just happened an hour ago. I'm sitting there stretching. I'm doing a hip stretch, and I'm staring at myself in the mirror, and my eyes were about as red as this shirt.
Yeah.
And I was still half asleep in my head. I could taste that booze coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I said, I just said, what's going to happen if you keep this up? And I was talking out loud to myself in the mirror. And I said, you're better than this. The shit stops today.
I love that you say that you were talking to yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
That is vital. Being
Absolutely.
able to talk to oneself. We're conditioned to believe that we may be crazy if we do such things, but it is not. It's an actual healthy mechanism. So I love hearing that you say that you did that.
Yeah. And actually, you'll go crazy if you don't. Yeah. And that's a big state of where we're at now. We're so afraid to express ourselves. We're so afraid to be genuine. And it all ties into the identity thing, where you identify as someone that doesn't live up to whatever persona you're projecting. And it's all just a big illusion. It's all bullcrap.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that was almost 4 years ago. And I formed an antagonistic relationship with I worked at a grocery store, so I had to walk around the beer, wine, all that 15, 20 times a day. And I'm not kidding you, Victoria, I'd walk down the beer aisle, I'd make sure no customers were looking, and I would give the beer the bird, and I would say, you're not going to have me anymore. You're done.
Yeah.
And so, that's, and I've been on a mission ever since it's like all of a sudden the dam was removed. That was my one thing, right? Because it screwed with my sleep, which screws with your hormones, screws with your hydration. Of course, people that drink a lot, it messes with their liver. Anger emotions seem to be really prevalent with people that drink a lot. And I was definitely that archetype. I was always angry. I was always the victim. I was, people don't understand my situation. And it literally is probably about 2 weeks after I quit, where I noticed a noticeable shift. And then I started getting into yoga, meditation, started working out for a proper motive. Yeah. And the world's just, the veil's been lifted.
Okay. So then, having said that, this is what I love about interviewing and hearing other people's stories. So especially in the space of addiction, everyone's story is different. We're conditioned to believe in the outside world, the clinicians all tell us we have to go to NA, we have to go to AA, we have to do all these things. And I'm not knocking it by any means at all, because there's a time and a place for it. There's people that absolutely reside there and love it, and that is their safe space, and that's fair and that's okay. So then am I hearing you say that you didn't take that method, you didn't take those pathways? Okay.
I don't subscribe to most of the typical models of there's bullet points and there's cliches out there in the self-improvement world, and a lot of them are very helpful, but a lot of this stuff is just band-aids. And I'm with you. I don't knock anybody's form of recovery as long as they are taking proactive steps to be honest with themselves. But I would recommend that you look for a time and a place where you can leave the nest, because that's still a dependency, but as long as you need it, use it. But I've just never subscribed to that. I've always found it, I've often thought about this. If I would have at the time said, okay, you're an alcoholic for life, you're not drinking again, I will, my brain, if I'm always identifying as an alcoholic, in my mind, that's leaving the door open to manifest that again, right? I'm a former alcoholic. I'm recovery. I know that I can't drink safely. I know that I'm not the type that can go out and have a few drinks, and I know that the result of that is going to be really ruin my whole week. So it's just not worth it to me.
Perfect.
But that's what works for me. It's everybody's different. Everybody's
absolutely
different.
Same. And I think right now that we're in this really crucial place in the world where we have to be adopting different methodologies and differing ways to find recovery, and to just dig in to what feels correct for one person, which is a part of why I brought you here. Because I've seen your part of your journey. You're an amazing coach. And so I'm just going to really quickly speak to my audience. Anybody who is wanting to take that, to level up, to take that next step, look up Jerry. He's in our space, inbox him, talk to him. He can be there for you. He's an amazing guy. So yeah, I'm just so grateful that you've been here, that you've
thanks for having me.
Yourself to open up to the space. I know we're 27 minutes down, and I was hoping that we could go a little bit longer, but unfortunately I have 9 texts in the space that I'm in. I'm for anybody new to Rehabilitation Station, or even to Jerry's audience, because I think Jerry may be taking this and putting it in his space as well. But I help men and women overcome opioid use disorder. And in doing that, I am a part of an opioid response team in my city. And I am getting now 11 texts. So I'm going to have to chat because I need to ensure that I'm taking care of the people in the community. But I am so incredibly grateful for you, Jerry, that you're in this space, that you are also one of the many that have moved through addiction to success, and you're doing the thing, and you're using a really healthy way to keep yourself going. So thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on and allowing me to share my story with people. And I hope people find value in it. And yes, like Victoria said, reach out to me anytime, you guys. You can find me on Facebook, Jerry Kuykendall. Oh, I noticed I'm using my wife's Zoom account. But anyway, or CoachJerryHLC.com. There's a contact button on there. It's a direct email right to me. So if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out anytime.
And if I'm not mistaken, you have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do have a YouTube channel. It's Coach Jerry, health and fitness tips and strategies. So
yeah, I saw that today. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
I'm working on, I'm learning all this at the same time, right? I love to coach and I love to work with people, and unfortunately that you can't have the outreach that you would like. So you got to learn to do the content and all that. So I'm having a blast learning it.
I know, fun. Same here. It's so awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Just be nice to myself, and don't judge myself, and don't compare. I think I'll be all right.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're so amazing, Jerry. It's so great to have you.
As are you.
You have a good one. We will chat soon. And have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.